All right, Suze, fellas, thank you very much. Well, on to another game yesterday. We're still talking about Tony Romo, Cowboys in Detroit to face the Lions. Dez Bryant signaling, give me the ball. Throw goes down the middle of Dwayne Harris. Dez with the Cowboys up 10-7 in the third quarter. Assistant coach, head coach, quarterback. This is the scene. They're up 10-7. Fourth quarter, the Cowboys are up 27-17. And, you guys, you did it, but Calvin is unbelievable. Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson between the defenders. And he outjumps Jeff Heath, Brandon Carr. I think he outjumped Wilt Chamberlain. Reggie Bush scored a touchdown, 27-21. Now, 30-24, they hook up for a pass down to the 1 yard line. Tick, tick, tick. You've seen it. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick. Hurry up. I'm going to spike the ball, even though we got time. We're going to get organized to Stafford. Let's go. And it's a quick spike. Well, Dallas, no, it's a touchdown. The winning touchdown right there. So while Detroit celebrates, Bryant, Jason Witten, DeMarcus Ware, they do that. 31-30. Lions win. All right, so Bryant today, locker room availability, and among the things he said, Tony Romo and Jason Witten, those are our leaders. Those are our main guys. The reason why I'm able to voice my opinion is because those guys help me become who I am and where I can do that. Whenever I do things, I promise y'all, man, it's all out of trying to keep our team motivated, keeping the passion, letting people know this game is important to us. And that's a day later. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So does that change opinions you have? This all went on for the entire second half, Key, on the field, even though the statements today.
Well, you know what? Last night at the locker, he actually said something that kind of counters that by saying I'm playing with passion. I feel a certain way. And that is true. When you play this position at wide receiver, you need 10 other guys to do their job. Okay, you have the opportunity when you're the alpha dog is to be a part of a football team. You are the number one target when situations happen. Yes, they targeted the other receiver in Harris and tried to get him the football on that particular third down. But Dez Bryant was singled up. The safety rolled to the other side. Tony Romo should have gotten the football to him. That play was designed in that particular coverage to throw the ball over there. So the frustrations are going to set in. Do I condone what he did in 12 seconds to go in the game? No, because you have to channel those emotions. I've been a guy on the sidelines at times, Boom, when things were not going well for our team, I felt like I can help them. You go to basketball, you go to a guy like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, they want to take the shot, okay, to help the team. He's saying it right there. It's not about him. It's not about whether or not he's going to get the football to match Kelvin Johnson's statistics. That'll never happen because Kelvin Johnson has targeted way more attempts in a football game over the course of the year, other than Dez Bryant. It's just not the same. But when Detroit needed to play, they went to their guy, Tommy.
But I don't think that triggered the frustration. I agree with a lot of those things you say about the scheme and the way they did things. What triggered that is that previous to that game, he sent out a personal challenge, however inadvertently, to Calvin Johnson. I can do whatever he can do. We translate that to I'm as good as him. He found out from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock that he's not as good as Calvin Johnson. That is a rude awakening for a wide receiver. I have to admit that I'm not as good as that guy. He could have said it about any other guy in the league and probably would have been right on target. Cannot say it about that guy. I'm going to say something personal here. I was a pretty good linebacker. I think the people I played against and with would tell you that. I'm not as good as Lawrence Taylor. So if I said that going into a game and I watch him play, yeah, I might get a little frustrated as the game goes on. And I think that's what happened to him. And by the time Jason Witten was telling him, we still have 12 seconds on the clock, we still might be able to win the game.
Hear it.
I don't want to hear that.
Yes.
Because I can't make up for what happened the previous 3 hours.
I like what he said, after the game. It makes sense. But you can't display that kind of an attitude on the sideline. They're your teammates. He's trying to win the football. I know this guy is a competitor. I know he wants to win the football. He wants the ball in his hand. If you didn't want the ball in your hand, you shouldn't be on the football field. I agree with that. But you just can't jump up and start hauling at everybody. Now, if it was me, it would be different, see? But I did that to the players.
But no, you did a lot of it.
I did it.
But look at this, though, Coach. He's a wide receiver, and CC can speak to this. Is it any different when you got a guy like Tom Brady screaming at Bill O'Brien a year ago, or you got him screaming at young receivers? What makes it any different?
I don't like that. I don't like that
We're not
either.
jumping up
I
and
don't
down
like
when
that
that happens,
either.
but
I don't
it's a
like that
receiver.
either.
So now, all of a sudden, he's supposed to stay in his place and not say anything.
Well, I got to tell you what makes it different.
Yeah.
He makes more money.
Well, I think it's different too, because we see wide receivers, myself included, doing this more than we see quarterbacks doing. If we saw quarterbacks doing this, then we would be talking about them. So I don't think Dez Bryant is getting, an unfair shake in this. You play for the Dallas Cowboys. You got that star on your helmet. There's a lot of attention to go with that. And if you want to be the best receiver in the league, there's a learning curve to this, all right? It's not a personal attack against Calvin Johnson, all right? It shouldn't be. There was 8 times I played against Jerry Rice in my 16-year career, all right? And when I left the field, I thought in my mind I was as good as Jerry Rice. But not in one point did I ever think or disrespect that I'm as good as Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the best receiver ever. Calvin Johnson is a once-in-a-generation wide receiver. Watch him. Watch how he runs routes, Dez. Watch his overall conditioning. And watch his demeanor, even in tough situations.
Yes.
So I can't sign off on that key and say it's okay to be that way if you don't get the ball, even if it wasn't right coverage. Because perception was he crossed his teammates.
Yeah, but should he sat there and said his teammates say, everything's fine with it.
That's a lie, man.
Why is that why he's saying
because
it?
they're going to say that because
Wait a second. Tony Romo got embarrassed, man.
But
no
he
one
said
wants to.
everything
That's a
was
lie,
okay. He
Keith.
worked it out with his teammates,
Keith,
though.
stop, man. No one
Why
wants
is
to
it
be
a lie,
embarrassed.
though, Chris?
No one wants to be upstaged.
How you know it's a lie? You ain't in that man's locker room. You don't know what they talking about.
Their job now is
The owner said it was okay.
Hold on. Their job now is to rehabilitate Dez Bryant.
Yes,
by
make
next-
well
by
of the
next
situation.
Sunday, so that he believes again he's the best receiver in the National Football League.
And
they're going to do a good job
And you
of that.
said it. Dez Bryant can play for your team. He can play for mine too, but unless Calvin Johnson's available. Okay, because he's the best. All right? Now, he can play for y'all.
And another thing.
I haven't seen Calvin Johnson do that yet.
No.
Different.
Absolutely.
Different.
Absolutely.
Just a thought.
Just a thought.
It's some more thoughts from the field.
And Boom, I think everybody here would agree that getting animated on the sideline is part of the game. Maybe some of the passion was misplaced.
I don't
How do
remember
you
Ray.
read
I
it?
don't remember Ray being real animated. Listen. Listen. I think a lot of this is taken totally out of context. Listen, Tom Brady had the same issue a few weeks ago, and we did not spend this much time on Tom Brady yelling at his receivers, yelling at his coaches, or whatever. But when you talk about it, it's truly called controlled emotions. You have to be taught how to control your emotions. I remember me going into a football game, and I'm so passionate, and I want to get everything straight. Mike Singletary had to pull me to the sideline and make me look at him in the eye and say, listen, you can't use your energy like that. Not out here. There's a time and a place to say everything. Hey, the game, we all know this. It's passion, man. It's heated, you know?
What I loved about it is that, people know him, that know him he's come from a long way. And to me, he's saying, I want to be accountable. I want to be a part of the conversation. And I don't know exactly how to do it yet. I'm kind of a young guy trying to figure it out. And to me, what I loved about it is that in the future, he even said after the game, I'm allowed to do that because of the leadership in the locker room. He is now the de facto leader on that team because of what just happened. And I think he's a young guy that's trying to figure out how to best do that. Yesterday, not so great. I think next time a little bit better.
And honestly, I'm kind of confused of what the conversation is. Is the conversation,
I don't know.
Is Brian as good as Calvin Johnson? I mean, I think everybody.
I think it's about the eruption.
Exactly.
Does that work?
Agree. And I think you poll everybody at ESPN, they'll say that was not ideal. I think the danger here is to vilify Dez Bryant and say what he did was so egregious and wrong. That's ridiculous.
I kind of liked it.
I think most. Listen, I won a championship with this guy, and he would come over to the sidelines and just rep me a new one, and I deserved it, right? But then Rod Woodson would do the same to you, and Sarah Goose and J.O. I mean, it's a passionate sport. I think we're in a generation where every kid should get a brownie after practice, and everybody should be politically correct, and that's not football.
Okay, but you should find a way to best communicate. What I'm saying is he's new at this kind of idea. I'm going to be a team leader.
He's figuring it out.
His first big foray into I'm a team leader probably was a little bit over the line, but now he can say, okay, I got that one. But I do love the idea of being in charge or having accountability for this team. And I'm going to say it maybe a little bit different. To your point, he needs that Mike Singletary to pull him in the eye and say, Dez, and that's what Witten was doing. He was basically saying, hey, Dez, we love it, but hold on a second, right?
Yep.
Here's the bottom line. There's a lot of frustration with the Cowboys as they watched another game slip away. Since 2011, this is the fourth time they've lost a game when they were up by 10 points in the fourth quarter. That's the most in the NFL. Dallas has Minnesota next. And here at the Edward Jones Dome, the guy